everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about my experience of being homeschooled, lots of Q&A and pros and cons and everything like that. Most of the homeschooling videos that I've done so far have been very sparse, and most of them have been joke videos, but also not. This one is going to be pretty serious. I'm just going to be talking about frequently asked questions and the good things and bad things that I have experienced through homeschooling. Most of the people I interact with though are not homeschooled. I get lots of questions about me being homeschooled. A lot of people don't like their experiences in public and private school and they're looking into homeschooling, so I thought this video could be helpful for those of you who are kind of looking into it. The first thing I want to mention is that everybody's homeschooling is going to be completely different. The whole thing about homeschooling is that you have a bunch of freedom. You can decide to not even teach your child math. Obviously, my parents wanted to give me an actual education and they tried to give me the best education that they possibly could. So a lot of you guys might be wondering why I'm homeschooled. A lot of people have asked me that in the past, and the reason is actually pretty simple. Both of my parents were public school. They went to different schools. So you'd think they had very different experiences, but in reality they actually both had pretty similar experiences, which were not so great. My parents ended up having 5 kids. I'm the youngest, and when my oldest brother was around the age that he would be put into school, my parents didn't want him to go through the same experiences that they did, so they wanted to either put him in a private Christian education or they thought about homeschooling. My family was never like rich or anything, so we could probably never get put into private school, and at the end of the day my mom just wanted to spend the most amount of time with us as she possibly could. So anyway, it totally worked out and my mom ended up homeschooling all 5 of us kids. Okay, so a lot of people ask if I like being homeschooled, and the answer to that question is yes. There are definitely pros and cons though, and that's what I'm gonna address a lot in this video. And then I'm gonna go through some FAQs that most people have asked me. So let's do it. I always like getting bad news first, so I'm gonna start with the cons. Some of these are funnier and some of these are real. Number 1 is social life. If you don't put in the work for a social life, you're not gonna have one. Number 2 is definitely something you wouldn't think about, but you don't have a school ID. This is so annoying, and this is a pet peeve of mine being homeschooled. Like if there's a sale at a store for like students or something, for example, one of the employees will be like, oh, are you a student? And you'll be like, yeah. And they're like, oh, let me see your school ID. I can give you 20% off. And you're like, well, I'm homeschooled. I don't have a school ID. And then they're like, okay, well there's nothing we can do about that because literally anyone can say they're homeschooled. Basically, there are so many instances when you need a school ID and you don't have one. That's just one example. Now, everybody's homeschooling experience is different. Sometimes people go online to do their school. Sometimes they have their parents teach you. Sometimes your parents hire tutors, but most of the time parents teach you. So the third con on my list is sometimes parents aren't the best teachers. Sometimes they just don't explain things in the way that your child will understand. That's the same thing if you hire a tutor or if you're in public or private school. I think most people can be good at that, especially if it's your own kid and you have patience and you understand them more than just a random kid on the street. It's all very relative, but that is a con, kind of. The last one on my cons list is that there is no prom, there are no school dances, there's nothing cool. The amount of times I've gotten the question, so do you go to prom with your brother? Is impeccable. Prom is a very touchy subject for me. My sister got married this year and I was gonna pay for my bridesmaid dress because I was a bridesmaid. You're supposed to pay for your bridesmaid dress, and my mom's like, no, I can pay for it for you because, you know, you don't have a prom and parents are supposed to pay for prom dresses. So basically my bridesmaid dress was my prom dress. All right, now I'm gonna go on to the pros. Number 1 is sleep. I love sleep. All of my siblings love sleep. We're great at sleeping. I feel like I'm the best person at sleeping. All of my friends are not homeschooled and I feel like such a well-rested person compared to them. They're always sending me Snapchats of like, 4 a.m., finally done studying, time to get 2 hours of sleep. I do not understand how people my age get through life on so little sleep, because I know children my age are like being like stunted by not getting enough sleep. People do not put enough importance on sleep. It is so important for your mental and physical health. I cannot stress the importance of sleep enough. That is seriously one of the biggest pros of being homeschooled. I can't even tell you how amazing it is to actually get a full night's rest every single night with like no pressure of having an alarm in the morning. It is incredible. The next thing that is really great about homeschooling is just the flexibility. This is another really obvious one, but being able to do things basically whenever and not having to worry about your school hours is really, really nice. I was in chorus for 8 years and the hours for that got really weird. We would have concerts some weeks and we'd have weird rehearsals some weeks, and like I was in operas that would go really late and have really different hours. I'd never have to worry about saying like, hey, I have to leave early for this thing, or blah 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 blah, or like not getting enough sleep again. It's so nice having like friends or family come into town and you don't have to worry about like missing the whole visit with them because you're at school or whatever. You just have the best flexibility when you're homeschooled. You can do school whenever. You could do school at like 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. if you wanted to. The third thing that I love about being homeschooled is that I get to be so much closer with my family members. My family members are my classmates, and I know that sounds really lame and really weird, but in reality, you just become really close with your family. I have 3 brothers and 1 sister. We are all homeschooled. Even though all of us aren't very close in age, we are so close just because we're with each other all the time, or we were. We just got so close because we homeschooled. We definitely wouldn't have the same relationship if we weren't homeschooled. We're just very close. The last thing I have on my pros list is that there are no social distractions or pressures. I know a lot of people say this, but seriously, you can get so distracted because of like your friends being there or like people you like or whatever. It just gets so distracting. A lot of people get social anxiety because like there are people around. Don't get me wrong, I think people should definitely be in classroom settings and learn how to do that, but just having that all the time social pressure to be on all the time, I think is kind of damaging. I know most people do it and it's definitely not damaging in the long run, but I just think it can be really stressful for people, and I don't think you can learn to the best of your ability when you're like around your friends and like people you like and people you're nervous around and like teachers you're scared of all the time, like 24/7. Not 24/7, but for all the time you're supposed to be doing school and you have all these distractions. All right, now I'm gonna get into the FAQs and tips. Number 1 is make friends. I don't think you guys realize how hard people who don't go to public and private school have to work for their friendships, because it's so easy to not have a homeschooled friend, you know what I mean? Which that's gonna sound really sad, but seriously, like just having one really good friend is so nice for people who are homeschooled, which that sounds really devastating. In all seriousness, if you're a parent thinking about homeschooling, you need to make sure to put your child in extracurricular activities where you're not there, where their siblings aren't there. It's so important for people in general to have healthy friend relationships. They just need to be in their own little group of like reality. That is a type of learning. You need to learn like how to act. How do people my own age act? Is this how you have a friend? That is how you like discover yourself as a person, is like how you act with your friends. It's like how you become yourself. You pick up different social things from a bunch of different people, and that is how you become yourself. So if you don't have friends or just people in general to like give you those social things to make you a person, then you're gonna probably be a really socially awkward and weird, boring person. I personally was in chorus for 8 years. That was the best decision I've ever made in my life. It was so important for me to learn how to be in a classroom setting, how to take tests, how to study really hard for something, how to respect authority other than my parents. It was just good for so many different things, and it was just something that I could get away from. It wasn't a home thing. A lot of parents ask me this question, and that is, does your mom have a teaching degree? The answer to that question is no. You do not need a teaching degree to homeschool your children. What she decided to do is buy books and then teach out of them just like your teacher would in a classroom. She found the books that she liked the best after a few years. Since I'm the last one, basically I had her favorites. So she had science, history, math, basically everything that you have in your classroom, and she just taught them out of the book. She had her correction manuals. Even if you aren't very intellectually smart, it isn't that hard to homeschool. Obviously, it's gonna be really draining and difficult, but you don't have to be super intellectual because the books basically tell you what to say. Another question I get a lot is, did your mom work while homeschooling? She actually did work a part-time at-home job all while we were homeschooling, which is insane. She's literally a super mom. My dad worked full-time, and then while we were homeschooling, my mom worked like an on-call, like part-time job thing. You definitely couldn't have a full-time job as a homeschooling parent. Another question I get a lot is, do you have to take the SAT? And thank the heavens above, no, I do not. And a lot of people ask like, oh, how do you get into colleges? Most of my siblings went to city college in our area and then transferred to like a college that was like not just a city college. My mom made sure we were doing well in all of our subjects by having us take a standardized test every other year to see like where we were at in each subject, to see what we needed help on and what we didn't need help on, and that really helped her in knowing like if she was doing a good job. I'm sure somewhere in your area will have a standardized test of all the like public and private schools in America or in the UK, whatever. The last frequently asked question I get is, will you be homeschooled for college? The answer to this question is no, you can't be homeschooled for college. I know a lot of people who are homeschooled who take online college classes, which is totally doable, but all my siblings went to like real college. They all had great experiences. They all got their degrees, are super smart and successful people, and I'm very proud of them, and I'm proud of my mom. A lot of people have asked me about these questions in real life and on YouTube, so I thought it was time to make this video. Anything you guys wonder, I'll either try to answer in the comments or make a new video about this. If you want to see more homeschooling videos, make sure to let me know by giving the video a thumbs up. And yeah, that's gonna be the end of today's video. I hope you guys all really liked it, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow.